Hey, what's going on? I think we should do a little work with punctuation and how we should punctuate dialogue. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, but I've seen that some people are wanting to put dialogue into their stories. I think it's super effective. It's really helpful for the reader. You can actually move along the action in your story really quickly with dialogue. So let's just do a couple basic examples of dialogue. And I think you might have some teachers that will tell you stay away from said. Said is kind of boring, but that's the idea. If you put in said, the reader often just goes right by it and it doesn't jump out to the reader like retorted or questioned. Said is really good, and it's just like a place marker to let the reader know who has been talking. And a lot of times when you have different people talking, if you have three, it can get a little bit confusing and you might need more of those markers to let the reader know who's talking. But if it's just two people, like oftentimes in Frank and Beans, there are just two people talking. As long as you start off telling the reader, like blah, 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 Frankie said, you can go back and forth quite a few times without letting the reader know who's talking. They'll figure it out. It's a back and forth dialogue. And oftentimes, the less you say, the better. Because some of those weird things like, the retorted, they really stick out to readers and it distracts from what you're trying to say. And remember, something very important. Every new piece of dialogue, every time a new speaker speaks, you need a new paragraph. Okay, we'll work on that more later, but let's just punctuate some pretty boring sentences, and I'll have them right up there. I'll make sure I move over so I can put the words up there. But let's talk about a parent telling a child or a teenager to clean their room, something you might hear often. So let's just say something like, clean your room, Dad said. Okay, and you'll see where I put the quotes. You always want to put that comma inside the quotes and then end your sentence, like every sentence, with an end mark, and in this case it's a period. So let's say that parent was really mad. Clean your room, you might put an exclamation mark right at the end instead of the comma, so you put the exclamation mark there, still inside the quotes, and you would end it with a period. So we could do a question. Have you cleaned your room? Asked Mom. Okay, and you can see how I did the punctuation for that. So you can keep it very simple and just have your saids at the end. Another way you can do it is have the person talking, have that at the beginning, and that's a good way the reader will know exactly who's talking. They won't have to wait until the end of the sentence to figure out who said it. So you might say, Mom said, clean your room. And you'll see how I punctuated it there. This time the mom said, comma. The comma doesn't go in the quotes when it's at the beginning. It's English. We have to make it difficult. How about Mom asked, comma, did you clean your room? It ends with a question mark here. Mom shouted, clean your room, exclamation point. There's no rule against putting Mom said and having an exclamation point at the end, but it's just, you can do it. But I would say if you ever want to use that like exclamation point with a shouting or screamed or yelled, but if they're simply saying something, I'll say it again, put in a said. You don't want too many saids, but maybe after 3 or 4 different dialogues, a back and forth, you just put a simply, Mom said, just to remind the reader who is speaking. But you don't need to do it every single time. Mom said, clean your room. I said, no. Mom said, I said, Mom said, I said. Don't do that. Limit your saids. But it's a great one to put in because, like I've said already, it just blends in and the reader just realizes, oh, that's who's saying it. All right, that's enough for grammar and punctuation today. Hope you learned a little something. See you later.